This edition of Mac Voices is brought to you by MacPaw, the makers of CleanMyMac X. Your Mac as good as new. Find out more at macpaw.com/podcast. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is the second part of our conversation with Winston Chen, the iOS developer and founder of VoiceStream and VoiceStream Reader. In the first part of the conversation, Winston told us about the origins of VoiceStream Reader and how it was not really expected to be an actual product and how it was almost a jailbroken product, and then what changed and made it into something that he wanted to continue to pursue. This time, we've got more information, a little more under the hood stuff, but also some information about the other apps and a few other stories about VoiceStream and how it's evolved over the years. So let's get back to it.
Definitely.
So, Winston, let's get a little bit geeky on some of this, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because I think there's a faction of the audience that wants to hear some of this. So, what book formats, ebook formats, do you support?
The app supports EPUB, and EPUB, so both EPUB 2 and EPUB 3, but though for all practical purposes, most people don't really know the difference anyway. But the important thing is that it needs to be DRM free. So the books that you download from say from Amazon Kindle, those are in Mobi format, but they are which can be converted to EPUB, but that's not the main problem. The main problem is that they are encrypted, which means that they can only be read by an application with the decryption key, which is the only application that has a decryption key is the Kindle, either the Kindle ebook or the Kindle app. So it does make it complicated to get new books. If you're interested in the classic, just go to Gutenberg.org, and they have all the classics that are out of copyright that you can download for free. Now, for copyrighted work, there are some ways to, there are unofficial ways to get a Kindle book, to remove DRM and convert those to EPUB. Now, I don't condone those things. Now, I mean, it's your decision whether it's something you want to do. The tools are available online. You can search for them, and I'm not a lawyer, but I do. I think what I've been told is that as long as if you decrypt the book and for your personal use, you're okay. You're not going to land into legal trouble. Obviously, if you take that and you put it on a shared place where everybody can download, then you are violating the law. But okay, so those are sort of the DRM issue and so on. But if you've been diagnosed with dyslexia, or if you are legally blind, you have another tremendous resource available to you, and that is Bookshare. It's this organization. Go find Bookshare.org. There is an exception in the copyright law that says that anybody who's got print disability, so those are the people who have dyslexia, or who are blind, low vision, who have print disability, don't have to observe copyright laws. And so Bookshare, if you're like I said, legally blind, or you have an official dyslexia diagnosis, you can apply for membership at Bookshare, and Bookshare has just about every book you can possibly want to read, including all the copyrighted works, all the latest works, and if you're a student, you can download those books for free, any book for free. if you're not a student, I think for a very low fee, you can you can become a member and download books. So that's another reason, I guess, for me wanting to support the accessibility market, because those users have this resource that can get around the DRM problem, which is a substantial problem.
Yeah, I feel obligated to comment on that because this discussion has come up for music and for a lot of things that are DRM that you theoretically, and note I say theoretically, own. You have purchased it, and yet you're not being allowed to use it the way that you want to. And so you're right. If you can find those tools, I'm not anxious to get into any legal trouble by advocating. But if you Google, you shouldn't have any trouble finding them. And then just don't share them the way you shouldn't share them. But if I can get it out of Kindle format and into Mobi, into VoiceStream, then yeah, absolutely. Because I find it, and I understand why Amazon and Apple too DRM things, because they want to sell the audiobook version of it as opposed to the ebook version and have someone listen to it. But at the same time, and you can do that to a very limited degree with I think one or two of the Kindle devices, and there are certain things you can do text to speech within the Apple app. But if I just want to go out for a walk and an hour's worth of walk, I don't want to be constantly pulling out my phone and adjusting anything. I want to hit play and have it read to me while I'm walking. So that's that's great. I did not know about the service though, or the loophole in the copyright law. That's very interesting and makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so if you're older and start to your eyesight starting to get worse, and if you are legally blind now, that option is suddenly available to you. Take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about talk for just a second about getting an ebook into the app? Because I know there are a couple different ways that you. Oh, excuse me. Before I do that, though, I want to reiterate though what you said about PDFs and being able to be put into the VoiceStream app to read to you. So if you have a document that you've gotten somewhere, if you can get it into PDF form, then you can put it into VoiceStream and it'll read it perfectly.
Right. Yeah. Now PDF, reading PDF is something that, as a developer, I spend a lot of time on, a lot of effort on.
Really?
Reading PDF is actually really hard, and the reason is that PDF is a visual format, and people when Adobe designed the PDF format, it was designed to sort of for something to go to print. So you want to be very precise about, like, when I specify this is the document. When it gets printed, it's going to look precisely, the way I intend, and no matter where you go to print it, it's going to look exactly the same, right? That was the original purpose of the PDF format. So as a result, the text that you see in a PDF document, oftentimes the text doesn't even have spaces. You just say there's a character A right here, and there's a character M right here, and a little further away from that is another character, and you have to infer there is a space between those characters, which will separate the characters into words. So that's one issue with PDFs. Another issue that I spend a lot of time on is you have page numbers, you have headers and footers, and those cause issues. And there's all kinds of other issues, like there's ligatures, like you have a character that's like F and L, but they are merged into a third character, which combines F and L into a single character. And you have to take that apart to recognize that is, those are two characters. So a lot of idiosyncratic stuff in PDF. But I think I think I'm right in saying, like, in terms of being able to process PDF for text, we do a pretty good job.
So do you have to have the text layer within a PDF for VoiceStream? And I'm thinking specifically of a use case I had where I purchased a series of books that were long out of print, and I wanted to be able to listen to them. And so I spent the money to have the books scanned by a professional service. And it was great, except for the fact that you hit it. They were old paperback versions, and it ended up reading every single page number, as part of the process. And so is this something like, I know the listeners and viewers are very familiar with PDF Pen from Smile, that will OCR a PDF, and insert a text layer of editable text. Is that something that could assist VoiceStream Reader?
Well, VoiceStream Reader, last year I released a new product called VoiceStream Scanner. And VoiceStream Scanner basically is an OCR engine. And the OCR engine, once you download VoiceStream Scanner, then VoiceStream Reader can access that OCR engine and perform OCR. So when we open a PDF document, for example, that's a scan document, and you have Scanner installed, then VoiceStream Reader would ask you, would you like to OCR this document? Because it knows, like, oh, I'm opening up this document, but there's no text layer, there's no text, so it must be a scan. And then you can scan the entire PDF document. You can, even if it's like 1,000 pages. And all of that stuff happens on device, on your iPhone or iPad. It doesn't send anything to the cloud. And the reason I decided to approach it that way is because this OCR engine also is extremely useful especially for those who are visually impaired, as an independent app. Right, you just want to scan like a medicine bottle, so you know what's in it. Where you want to scan a letter that came in the mail, but you're not going to put in your VoiceStream library. Right, it's sort of it's like, read it from me and then I'm done. For those types of use cases, it helps to have a separate app. And I have a use case too. Like I've got every single scanning app I think that I can download. I find most of them to be really clunky. I scan everything, like everything I get in the physical mail. I scan them, put them in Dropbox. So I really, just for myself, I wanted to have a scanner where I lay a piece of paper on it and I click. And I go to the next page, I click. I go to the next page, I click. And when I'm done, I say save as PDF. Like I just, for some reason, all the scanners that I've seen, like it just takes so many steps to do that. So that was my personal reason for wanting that to be a standalone app. But anyway, but a standalone app also imparts this extra feature for VoiceStream Reader, which is being able to OCR scan PDFs.
I love the fact that you've solved your own problem and built it as a separate app for the individuals that need it. And the fact that it doesn't go out to the cloud is even better, because that just it eliminates bandwidth considerations and privacy considerations completely. Right.
And the reason I wrote the scanner last year is because all of a sudden I realized that, between Apple and Google, both of them had made tremendous advances to do this image processing, to do these kinds of work on the device. They've basically been able to take what they have developed using neural networks, using the latest in artificial intelligence technology, and made them run on this little supercomputer in your pocket, and made them run really fast. and so rather than you having to pay, if you send them to the cloud, you have to pay, I think, you like, a penny per, for a few pages, but you still have to pay. Now it's totally free. So you have this extremely high quality, very fast OCR engine that runs on your device for free. And so, and that was when that became available was when I decided, okay, I need to build an app around it.
This edition of MacVoices is supported by MacPaw, the makers of CleanMyMac X. Your Mac, good as new. Is your Mac slowing down or not performing the way you want? It's time to get CleanMyMac X from MacPaw. CleanMyMac X can help you clean out all that cruft that's been building up on your Mac. Old log files, cache files, email attachments, all those things that can slow your Mac down and that are no longer needed. CleanMyMac X's Smart Scan looks for them and then lets you decide what you want to keep and what can go, making your Mac faster and more stable. CleanMyMac X can also optimize your Mac to improve performance even more, and it can help you review all the apps on your Mac and properly uninstall those that you no longer need. And that's just the beginning. CleanMyMac X has everything you need to get your Mac running at its best and keep it that way. But that's not going to happen unless you visit macpaw.com/podcast to download the free trial. See what CleanMyMac X finds on your system that you don't need at macpaw.com/podcast. That's MacPaw, macpaw.com/podcast for the trial version of CleanMyMac X. Thanks to MacPaw for their support of MacVoices. I had interrupted us. We went off down the PDF path, and I want to make sure we talk about how you get an ebook or a document of any kind into VoiceStream Reader.
Right, yes. So one of the things, one of the things I thought was very important when I set out to design and build VoiceStream Reader is how it's able to get content from lots of different places. So it has direct access to Dropbox, to Google Drive, direct access to iCloud Drive, direct access to Evernote, and also access to Instapaper, to Pocket. Both are sort of both are bookmarking services. You can get books directly from Gutenberg. But if you have ebooks, you can, in Google Drive or Dropbox, you can just from VoiceStream go get it directly. If you have a large number of books, which I know some people have, there's yet another loading mechanism. In iCloud Drive, there is a special folder under VoiceStream called Loader. So let's say you got like 100 books you want to load, you just copy those books into the Loader folder in VoiceStream, and VoiceStream, when it opens up, you would look into the Loader folder and load every book that's in there. You can also save web pages very easily from Safari. So if you on your phone or iPhone or iPad, open up Safari. There's an article on a website you want to read. You can save to VoiceStream directly from Safari, and it'll strip out all the ads, strip out all the menus, and so on. Just have the article saved to your VoiceStream library. Then it also has access to Bookshare, as I mentioned. If you have a membership of Bookshare, which will get you just about any book you want to read.
I admit I did not know about the Safari. Somehow I'd missed that, and that would be very useful to queue up several articles that I'd like to catch up on, and then be able to listen to those while I'm doing something else. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I just learned something.
Yeah, I use that a lot for myself, especially for very long form articles. A lot of apps and of course websites, like browsers, are terrible at keeping your reading location, right? So imagine you're reading a very long article that will take you half an hour to read. You can't finish it in one shot. You go away from it, and the next thing you come back, you lost your place, right? So I find that really annoying. So so whenever there's a longer article, I always import that into VoiceStream, so that I can even if I'm reading it visually, I can scroll around, and then when if I leave, when I come back, it goes back exactly to where I left off.
That reminds me of something I wanted to ask you about the visual experience with VoiceStream Reader. If I load a book and hit play, it's reading it to me, but it also is doing that one word highlight thing that we were talking about earlier. Was there a reason that you took that approach as opposed to just maybe by line or just a sliding cursor?
Yeah, that's also research driven. There is some research that says that this is for people who have dyslexia, that if you are able to see the word and hear the word at the same time, that improves comprehension. And if you're, and also for people who are dyslexic, that can also help them improve their visual reading skills, right? Even if you don't have the benefit or the aid of text to speech. And there's lots of, because I'm catering to a group of people who read very differently from the way I read. I provided a very large number of controls and dials and adjustments so that you can adjust the reading environment exactly to your liking. For example, there's a way so that you only see 3 lines of text, or we're only 1 line of text, because that, for some people, seeing a whole page of text is actually distracting, and seeing only 1 line or 3 lines or 5 lines make you able to focus better. There's a mode in which it auto scrolls, so as you're speaking, the line that it's reading is always in the middle. So imagine you have this opening that shows you the line of text you're reading, and the text is sort of scrolling behind this window, right? So that's another way to configure the reader, which is really helpful for a lot of people. So there are lots of, you go into the settings and there's tons of stuff that you can tweak to make it right for you.
This is fascinating because I'm using it in my particular use case and have loved it. And I had no idea that some of those features were there, nor would I have probably understood because apparently I don't have the need for those particular features. But the fact that they're there just makes VoiceStream that much more robust.
Yeah. The way when I set about designing this app, even from 9 years ago, one thing, and that proved to be the right design, is that you think of text as the data. That's the sort of the master, and text, you can present text either visually or present text auditorily using text to speech, right? And those both things are equally valid ways of presenting the text. And in fact, those 2 ways to present the text can be done independently of each other. So for example, in VoiceStream Reader, and I think VoiceStream Reader is the only product that can do this, you can be listening to the text, and you can scroll ahead a little bit if you want to, right? So in that case, the visual presentation of the document and the audio presentation of documents are separate. They're in different places. But then if you tap with 2 fingers that synchronizes the two. So now the audio and the text are synchronized. And that design allows you to have sort of this infinite combination of ways to read, ways of combining audio presentation and visual presentation into this reading environment that's the most suited for you, especially for people with special needs.
Before we get out of here, I want to make sure we touch on the other app that you do. You've talked about Scanner, but you have Writer as well. How does Writer fit into all this?
Well, Writer, I have to admit, the Writer was of the three apps. Writer is is not as popular as the other two. Which I'm actually a little surprised about. A lot of the readers a lot of listeners must have know about IA Writer, right? This information architect, this iPad-based writing app, and it was the first app of its kind, and it was very well done, which allows you to write on the iPad in a very simple, uncluttered writing environment, and it uses something called Markdown to compose your text, which is really, which I think is the right way to write, because when you open up a Word document, a Microsoft Word document, you're writing in sort of 12-point Times New Roman font. You're writing as if you're going to print it right away. But the way we write, is in the writing environment that we're comfortable writing in, surely is not the same as the visual environment that you want to print your document with, right? So, and that's explain the success of products like IA Writer. So I used IA Writer a lot, and I liked it. But then, many VoiceStream Reader customers wrote me and said, first said, I love your app, and I use your app to proofread my writing. So they're authors, and I just had never thought about that. Oh, wow, there's this yet another use case for this product. And so then I thought, wow, why couldn't we combine something as simple as IA Writer, but add, text-to-speech capability to it, so that if that's your writing environment, you can push a play button and it'll read it out loud for you so it's easier for you to proofread it. And for me, like, text to speech is a wonderful way to proofread my writing, because I hate proofreading my stuff. But if it's reading it out loud for me, then I can catch mistakes that otherwise I wouldn't catch proofreading visually. So that was the genesis of VoiceStream Writer. It's like, let's take this simple Markdown-based writing tool, and let's add text to speech to that. I still use it. I think it's great. And it's got some few other tricks to it. It's got this wonderful word lookup tool, and that a friend of mine, Doug Bieferman, helped me write. That you're able to look for words just by meaning. So if you type in, large cat in Africa, it'll list, cheetah, lion, and so on. So it's got some other bells and whistles, but the main thing I think about it is that it's an uncluttered writing environment that also help you proofread your writing.
So I think I have to go and check out both Scanner and Writer, because I was not aware of these apps until we started talking about doing this interview. And now you've given me homework, Winston. But this has been fascinating. I've learned a lot about, I guess, reading in ways that don't apply to me, but apply obviously to a lot of people. And you're serving them an amazing application. an amazing opportunity to access information. And that's just absolutely phenomenal. Where do folks go to learn more about all of these apps? What's the best the website?
Yeah, you can go to my website, which is voicestream.com. Or just go to the App Store and search for VoiceStream is 2 words. The VoiceStream Reader is on sale right now for I think it's normally $15. Now it's $10. Just as sort of as a way to help a lot of students who are now, studying at home. So it could be. I think I find that students do find it more useful today than ever because a lot of teachers send students PDF documents. Some of them are scanned old worksheets, and that makes a lot of students have a hard time reading them if you have reading difficulties and you don't have the support that would be available if you're going to school.
I dearly wish I'd had something like this when I was going to school, because it would have made life so much easier just from the standpoint of better time utilization. So, wow. So many use cases here, Winston. So many use cases.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you.
This is fun. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say one thing. As a technology person, I love my job. I love my job because I have never been closer to my customers. I feel like I have this incredibly intimate relationship with my customers, and I hear their voices, because I read their emails to me, and I know the product. So I have, in my brain is both, the customer and the code. And there's no translation. There's no intermediary layer. It's just all there. And I find that to be really, really gratifying.
I can understand. I can see why it would. You're welcome back anytime. Thank you so much for the time and for all the explanations. I know that some people had to learn some things, because I definitely did. And I'll look forward to watching for the next improvements on VoiceStream and all the other apps.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, I hope to do it again.
Yes, I'll be glad to come back.
Great. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. No kidding, I really do use VoiceStream Reader. In fact, I was using it earlier today when I was out for a walk at noon. Go check it out. I've learned some things about Scanner and Writer. I've got to go check those out as well. But this is something that will make your ebooks just that much more enjoyable. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.